Is beauty truly just skin deep? Seriously, like really? Did people in the 13th century spend their days obsessing over the exact shade of a woman's forehead? Let's dive into a ridiculously detailed, slightly unsettling, and totally fascinating journey through the bizarre world of medieval beauty standards. Forget everything you think you know about pretty. We're about to uncover a whole lot of white skin, black eyebrows, and a surprisingly rigid obsession with, well, everything. Imagine a world where a poet, Matthew of Vendôme, and his buddy Geoffrey of Vinsauf basically invented the perfect woman. Not in a cool, artistic way, but in a way that felt like a really complicated checklist. They weren't trying to be edgy, they were aiming for a uniform, poetic ideal, a model so polished it practically shimmered with impossible perfection. Their quest started with Maximianus, a guy who apparently had some strong opinions about what constituted beauty, and they took it from there, adding little tweaks and analogies, like comparing a woman's neck to a gleaming column. It's weird, right? Like, imagine someone meticulously documenting every single detail of a woman's appearance. They weren't just saying she was pretty, they were breaking it down into a bizarre, almost clinical list. Hair, forehead, eyebrows, eyes, cheeks, nose, mouth, teeth, chin, throat, shoulders, arms, hands, breasts, waist, belly, legs, feet. It's like a medieval beauty spreadsheet. And the goal? To create a standard so rigid, so unattainable that it became a literary trope, a way to instantly signal that a character was truly beautiful. Let's talk about the skin. Pale, like really pale. Matthew and Geoffrey were obsessed with a ghostly white complexion. Outdoor workers, forget about it. Their skin would be tanned, roughened, and decidedly not luminous. The wealthy, on the other hand, had access to luxurious oils, powders, and concoctions designed to bleach their skin to an almost unnatural shade. It wasn't about health, it was about adhering to this ridiculously high standard. And the teeth, they had to be white too. Not just pearly white, they needed to be blindingly white like snow. Think about it, a woman with brown teeth in the 13th century would have been considered, well, not beautiful. It's a stark reminder of how deeply ingrained social status was in everything, even aesthetics. Then there were the eyebrows, dark, really dark, black. It's a detail that seems almost absurdly specific, but it was a crucial element of the ideal. They weren't just eyebrows, they were a defining feature, a marker of beauty, and the lips, pouty, like dramatically pouty. It wasn't about a natural, relaxed expression. It was about a carefully sculpted pout, designed to be both alluring and slightly unattainable. And the teeth, they needed to be white like snow and perfectly aligned. Now let's get to the really strange part, the analogies. Matthew and Geoffrey weren't just describing beauty, they were comparing it to everything. A woman's skin was like moonlight, her breasts like gems, her neck like a column. It's like they were trying to elevate the concept of beauty to something divine, something beyond the realm of the ordinary. They linked their ideal to Helen of Troy, the legendary beauty of the Trojan War, effectively cementing their vision as the gold standard. It worked. People bought it. And honestly, it's a little unsettling to think about how deeply this idea took root. But here's the kicker, this beauty standard wasn't just a theoretical concept, it was used literally. In Guillaume de Lorris's epic dream vision, La Romaine de la Rose, beauty herself is a character. She's described with an almost otherworldly glow, skin bright as moonlight that outshines the stars, skin like lilies and red roses, and blonde hair that reaches her toes. Seriously, and other women in the novel. They sport the expected attributes, but with a few tweaks: gray eyes, small mouths. It's like a carefully constructed fantasy, a world where beauty is a quantifiable thing. This brings us to the monks of Santa Maria de Ripoll. These guys, bored with copying manuscripts, decided to write their own love poetry. And guess what? They were using Matthew and Geoffrey's analogies. Judith, a heroine from the Old Testament, is described with shining eyes, teeth like snow, and a white forehead, the Countess of Flanders. Brighter than the sun, she has glowing white teeth, sparkling eyes, legs whiter than snow, and small, artfully formed feet. It's a parade of idealized features, meticulously described. They were essentially recreating the medieval beauty standard in their own poems. It's fascinating to see how this literary ideal seeped into reality. Chaucer, writing in the 14th century, even parodied it in The Miller's Tale. Alisoun, a common woman, is described with phrases like her mouth was sweet as ale and honey or mead, or a hoard of apples laid in hay or heather. It's a ridiculous exaggeration, a deliberate contrast to the idealized beauty he was portraying. He's using the language of goddesses to describe a woman who is, frankly, a bit of a rogue. It's a brilliant satire highlighting the absurdity of the beauty standard and its disconnect from reality, but the story doesn't end in England. The ideal blonde, white-skinned beauty traveled far and wide. In Constantinople, the poet John Tezetsis described Princess Briseis as tall and white. Her hair was black and curly. She had beautiful breasts and cheeks and nose. She was also well-behaved. Her smile was bright, her eyebrows big. Brunettes were accepted, but blondes were still firmly at the top of the hierarchy. It's a subtle but significant difference. Now, let's talk about the variations. Outside Western Christendom, things were a little different. In the Iberian Peninsula, poets were more open to celebrating a range of hair colors, from blonde to black, curly, or straight, but they still praised it as being soft. It's a reminder that beauty standards are shaped by cultural context. And then there were the Arabic texts, which surprisingly favored black hair. The Historia de la Dincella Teodor and the Speculum al Fodri explicitly stated a preference for dark locks. And those who did prefer blondes tended to be the wealthy elite who could afford to indulge in the luxurious oils and treatments that maintained their pale complexion. So, what does all this tell us? That the medieval beauty standard was incredibly rigid, incredibly detailed, and incredibly influential. It wasn't just about looking pretty, it was about adhering to a specific set of ideals, a carefully constructed fantasy. And it's important to remember that this standard was largely created by wealthy writers for a wealthy audience. Their prejudices were baked in even if they weren't always aware of it. Let's get back to the checklist. Medieval writers weren't just describing women, they were systematically analyzing them. Hair, forehead, eyebrows, eyes, cheeks, nose, mouth, teeth, chin, throat, shoulders, arms, hands, breasts, waist, belly, legs, feet. It's like a beauty autopsy. And the emphasis on whiteness and softness reflects the social realities of the time. Pale skin, smooth skin, white hands, these were features that were associated with wealth and status. The ability to afford oils, powders, and elaborate grooming routines was a sign of privilege, and let's not forget the breasts. Medieval writers were remarkably consistent in their description of the ideal set of breasts, small and white. It's a fascinating detail and one that speaks volumes about the social attitudes of the time. Wealthy women could avoid breastfeeding, allowing their breasts to shrink to a more desirable size. It's a subtle but significant reflection of the social hierarchy. Then there are the legs. They were described as fleshy, well-shaped, and often compared to swans or herons. It's a reminder that medieval writers weren't just interested in the face, they were interested in the entire body. But here's the truly bizarre thing, the lack of interest in blondness in other cultures. While Western Christendom was obsessed with blondes, other cultures, like those of the Iberian Peninsula, were more open to celebrating a range of hair colors. It's a reminder that beauty standards are not universal, they are shaped by cultural context and historical influences. And finally, let's address the elephant in the room, the underlying sexuality of these descriptions. The emphasis on pale skin, small breasts, and carefully sculpted features suggests that beauty was not just about aesthetics, it was also about desirability. The medieval beauty standard was, in a very real sense, a tool for controlling and objectifying women. So the next time you see a picture of a classic beauty, remember that this ideal has a long and complicated history. It's a history that is rooted in social inequality, cultural biases, and a surprisingly detailed obsession with the appearance of women. Is beauty truly just skin deep? Seriously, like really?